In the scorching summer of 376 AD, a colossal congregation of Goths, guided by their chieftain, Fritigern, arrived at the northern banks of the mighty Danube. These Goths had once roamed the lands to the north and west of the Black Sea. However, the encroaching menace of the Hunnic tribes, led by the fearsome Huns, had forced them into a fateful dilemma: submit to the ruthless Hunnic yoke, or embark on a perilous southward migration. Eventually, they found themselves at the Danube's edge, desperately seeking permission to settle within the borders of the Roman Empire. Emperor Valens, occupied with the arduous task of amassing forces for an impending campaign against the Persians, greeted Fritigern's request with a skeptical eye. His legions were scattered across the vast expanse of the empire, and his primary mobile forces were already deeply embroiled in the eastern front. With only a handful of border limitane troops at his disposal, the local governor of Thracia, a man named Lupicinus, found himself ill-equipped to manage this overwhelming migratory tide. Recognizing the inadequacy of his own forces, Valens reluctantly granted the Goths permission to ford the river's waters. However, what followed surpassed Valens' expectations. Fritigern's Gothic multitude was far more numerous than initially envisaged, and other Gothic bands began crossing the river without any regard for official consent. The Roman governors had dealt with barbarian migrations in the past, but the inundation of the Goths was unprecedented. Matters escalated when the Romans failed to disarm the migrants during their river passage, and the scarcity of food further exacerbated the volatile situation. In a bid to alleviate the mounting crisis, Lupicinus made an ill-fated decision to relocate the Goths to the Roman regional headquarters of Adrianople, drawing troops from the Danubian border for this endeavor. However, this act inadvertently encouraged more Gothic groups to cross the river unchecked. As tensions continued to escalate, Lupicinus embarked on a desperate gambit. He extended an invitation to the leaders of Thuringi, including Fritigern, to partake in a feast, but secretly planned to seize them, hoping to quell the Gothic unrest. News of Fritigern's supposed demise only served to inflame the Goths further, and they readied themselves to lay siege to Adrianople. As the impending attack loomed, Lupicinus, realizing the dire circumstances, relented and released Fritigern, precipitating open conflict. With his people languishing from hunger, Fritigern led the Goths away from Adrianople in search of sustenance. Lupicinus, in a final bid to suppress the uprising, mustered his troops. However, the ensuing battle proved catastrophic for the Romans. The vastly outnumbered Gothic forces overwhelmed Lupicinus's troops, with more than half of his men succumbing to the Gothic onslaught. Although Lupicinus survived by fleeing the carnage, the Roman Empire was left grappling with a dire internal crisis. Thousands of famished Goths rampaged through the province of Thracia. Upon receiving the dire tidings, Valens had no alternative but to expedite a hasty peace agreement with the Persians and return his legions to Thracia. Nonetheless, this process demanded time, as Valens had to secure the Roman eastern flank against potential Persian incursions. In his quest for assistance, he looked to his western counterpart, Emperor Gratian. In the Thracian countryside, the Gothic devastation continued unabated. Those fortunate enough sought refuge within fortified cities, providing some semblance of safety, for Fritigern lacked the means to lay siege to these strongholds. His ranks swelled as various Gothic factions rallied to his cause, all united under a leader genuinely concerned for their well-being. The year 377 witnessed hastily assembled Roman units attempting to quell the Gothic uprising. However, it was the following year that saw the Gothic incursion reach its zenith. Emperor Valens, stationed in Constantinople, awaited reinforcements from Gratian. Despite his earnest efforts to bolster the troops' morale and provide support, the prolonged wait for Gratian's assistance took its toll. Valens received word that the Gothic army, now heading toward the city of Adrianople, numbered fewer than anticipated, around 10,000 strong. This unexpected development left Valens oscillating between caution and the allure of a potentially grand triumph. to camp outside the city and proceeded northward to confront the Goths, who, under the leadership of Fritigern, employed every stratagem to delay the impending confrontation, from deploying emissaries of peace to engaging in hostage exchanges. The clarion call of trumpets signaled the Roman march, and a military encampment sprung up outside Adrianople's walls. Valens' legions pressed forward, closing to within roughly 15 kilometers of the Gothic camp, where Fritigern sought to buy precious time for his people and postpone the inevitable clash. Amidst the sweltering heat of August 9th, the Roman legions, a formidable force of approximately 20,000 soldiers, reached the outskirts of the Gothic camp. Emperor Valens had anticipated a significant Gothic presence, and the sight was indeed daunting, with Gothic civilians seeking refuge behind the camp's rudimentary defenses. Fritigern, the Gothic chieftain, had adopted a defensive posture, positioning baggage carts to form a makeshift fortification atop a hill guarded by Gothic infantry. Upon the arrival of the Roman legions, Fritigern seized a tactical advantage presented by favorable wind conditions. He set the dry grass ablaze, enveloping the battlefield in smoke and flames, aiming to test the Romans' endurance. Amidst this chaos, Gothic envoys continued to engage Valens, using negotiation as a means to delay the arrival of Gothic reinforcements. Unexpectedly, Roman mounted units on the right flank surged forward, initiating skirmishes with the Goths. The cavalry on the opposite flank, eager to end months of inactivity, joined the fray, clashing with the Gothic infantry on the hill, driving many of them into the wagon fort, where their fate was sealed. In the center, the heavy Roman infantry advanced to confront the heart of the Gothic force. Initially, the struggle appeared evenly matched, with tightly packed Roman legionnaires facing off against the fierce Thervingi warriors led by Fritigern. Hours dragged on as the battle raged fiercely. However, Valens soon discerned the true purpose behind Fritigern's repeated offers of parley, a tactic to buy time. Several thousand Grutungi and Alan cavalry, Gothic allies, responded to the call for assistance and descended upon the battlefield. In a matter of moments, the Roman flanks were overwhelmed, and their cavalry was forced to retreat. Isolated in the center, the Roman infantry found themselves encircled by Gothic forces. While the Goths lacked the armor and discipline of the Romans, their sheer numbers and unwavering determination presented a formidable challenge. The battle endured until evening, but Valens recognized that his army was trapped, and a miraculous rescue was their only hope. Sadly, that miracle never materialized. After 8 hours of unrelenting combat, the majority of the Eastern Roman army lay lifeless on the battlefield. Valens himself met a gruesome fate, and the precise location of his remains remained a mystery. Many of his generals, officers, and officials perished alongside him, leaving the Roman Empire to grapple with the dire repercussions of the Battle of Adrianople. The Battle of Adrianople, a devastating defeat for the Roman Empire, left an indelible mark on its history, ranking among the most significant losses in its military annals. Following Valens' ill-fated choice to confront the Goths, the Gothic uprising persisted for 4 more harrowing years, exacting further tolls on the already beleaguered Roman Empire. This protracted conflict strained Roman resources to the brink and continued to erode its military might. It wasn't until Theodosius, Valens' successor, ascended to power that the Roman Empire managed to temporarily stem the barbarian tide in the Balkans. Theodosius employed a multifaceted approach, employing diplomacy, military restructuring, and, in certain cases, resettlement of barbarian factions within the empire's borders to restore stability. Nevertheless, the scars of Adrianople continued to echo through the Roman realm, serving as a grim testament to the immense challenges faced by the declining Roman Empire during its twilight years.
On this channel, we are putting together narrative historical cinematic battles. Make sure to subscribe and thank you for watching. See you on the next one.